Now, over the last couple of weeks, the last couple of videos and streams and different pieces of content we've had going out here on the channel, it feels like one of the main kind of POVs, one of the main subject matters when it comes to all things Sorare. It's not really so much about game progression and dynamics and mechanics as much anymore as it is about utility and reward payouts, what they are, how you get them, different ways of getting them. And we've went through some different iterations this year with boxes initially, different combinations of essence payouts, and a few other special competitions, a few other bits and pieces. But in the last week they've announced their next kind of test pilot game mode, the Arena, which is a competition that only pays out essence but takes essence to get into, in a competition format that resembles a kind of rake situation that we can see in other game modes, etc. But it kind of brings forward to me now, in terms of what I'm thinking and doing and what you guys are thinking about and asking about, is what to do with my essence at this time of the year, as well as trying to juggle the different game modes. Are they worth playing? Will we see them return? Will we see them evolve? There's a few different bits and pieces that kind of all wrap themselves in and together for this one. At any point in the video, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Get into the comment section, let me know your thoughts and feelings on the Arena essence payouts and everything else that we touch on in the video. But yeah, let's just get stuck straight into it, because the general idea of this Arena kind of mashes together a few different things that we've seen from Sorare and Rivals and a few other different bits and pieces where, like Global Cups and private leagues, there's been a few attempts at cracking this kind of gameplay system. This might be one of the closest I've came to it, where it's 10 essence at rare or limited as a pay-in to get into the competition, and then you're going to be against 10 other people. The top 5 will get a minimum of XP. You need to get on the podium to actually make your essence back with a bit of profit, but 20 of the arenas will be golden arenas, in which case the number 1 payout gets 200 essence. Now, this essence is derived mainly from the rake of people submitting essence to get into the competition, but Sorare have added that they are including an essence payout on from their side of the table to make all of this possible. How much that is kind of hard to tell, because each league has got 10 people in it who have donated 100 essence, and the base payout is 90. So it's maybe just a wee bit of the boosted essence for those 20 arenas that Sorare is kind of dipping their hand in their pocket for, or maybe not. You guys can work out the maths and let me know. But that was certainly on their announcement. And you know what? I've got to admit, I'm a little bit nervous to try and click into this and even just flesh a team out. I don't see myself wanting to spend any of my rare essence on this. And unlimited, I could be tempted as an experiment to have a bit of fun with you guys, because as you guys know, every card that I craft at limited level we give away to the FC Barcelona members. So I'm a little bit tempted on that. So at that point of recording, Tuesday, tonight, I'm going to have 10 more limited essence come my way on top of the 16 we already have. So that would delay us crafting this week, but we could play a limited lineup and try and strike it big and try and get more limited essence. I'm maybe going to pass on it myself personally. It's only open for 2 game weeks as like a test, this coming weekend and then the following one. And we're rare. This is kind of the main topic of the video, but this competition, as well as the Craft for a Half special that they did a few months ago where I got the Moses Caicedo, it felt like they're trying to pull a bit of essence out of the factories of Sorare managers, out of the game, as it were, try and rake it out and pay it out in different ways and put less pressure on those crafts that are going to happen early in the European season. Now, I think the kind of development we've had recently, where we've had boxes removed and essence being a fixed payout, has really upped my essence capture here, because if I go backwards to go forwards with you, I emptied all of my essence out for the Craft for Half thing. We got Moses Caicedo and Christers Tobers here, so I ended up with no essence when that was all said and done. And already I'm back up to 102 rare essence, about to collect a further 24. Now, I'm quite mindful of when the European stuff ends in the next 4 or 5 weeks, especially when Celtic ends, I'm going to be capturing a lot less essence. So I'm very much in the mind of, I want to be keeping my essence, I want to be stacking it up. You won't be able to craft any in-season cards next year, the official word is, until 2 weeks into early access, so that cards can be priced appropriately and kind of put into the right pools and tiers and all the rest of it. And that's the kind of benchmark I'm looking at, because although I'm clipping about 20 to 30 essence a game week at the moment, if I've only got that for another 5, maybe 6 game weeks at an absolute push, I'm only going to make it to the tier 2, the 250 mark, give or take, by the time the end of the European season comes. And quite honestly, I'm not that confident that I'll be able to gain a further 250 essence just from MLS and South America alone. Maybe I do, maybe I will. Let's see how it does shake out. But I think I should be in a strong position to be able to craft at least one tier 2 plus 2 weeks into early access, and maybe if I can get super lucky, I'll either have extra essence where I can pull a tier 3 plus on top of that as well. Ideally, but I'm going to get as high as possible and pull the best quality of card possible. And I think this is a strategy point that everyone playing the game right now should firmly be considering if you've been operating on a budget. Over this week, I've managed to add in another couple of like collection pieces on nominal amounts, but I've also added in an in-season Lucho Acosta, who I got this on instant buy, so it was 50% off. And the value that he's going at the moment compared to where he was early season and compared to where guys of his caliber and level generally are trading at this season at MLS, it felt like a really good coup. And this is a card that I'm getting way ahead of schedule on MLS versus what's happened to me in Europe, because in the European season, as you'll know, with getting some of the Celtic cards like Schmeichel and whatever later, Caicedo was a late addition, as well as some of the other like star names I've had and in season, like De Jong and Teji only coming in the last couple of months. Rafinha was one just the week before that, and I've tried to get De Bruyne in for a wee bit of a swan song, although he's not amazing, we all know that at this point. But you know, the better in season cards in Europe, whether it be in the SPFL and Contender or whether it be in Champion, have taken longer for me to acquire. You know, the early ones that we got this year was in season Valencia and a little bit of in season Sociedad, because they were budgety type players, and we've had some success with them without it being a resounding success. And this time next year, I want to get to where I am now a lot quicker. And there's going to be 2 ways of doing that. The number one way is putting your hand in your pocket, obviously, and going after those early access cards, which with market credits might not be as painful. Because coming into this season, I don't think any of us were prepared market credit-wise for all the early access stuff we did. I think there was a wee bit of it going around, but I'm going to be much more mindful on stacking and building market credits as well as the essence, because the classic strategy in the gallery back at the beginning of this season was where I had the majority of my focus on. As classic prices were coming down, I was looking to get those guys that I really wanted, but they were always way overpriced, like Bruno G for 30 quid, for example. But all that business is done. If some of you guys might have that business to do now during this off season, but in any case, in-season goalkeepers and in-season captain level guys are the number one thing that we're all going to be missing for and all going to be looking for when early access comes out for the new European season. And you know, my essence is split across all the competitions essentially, except for Challenger. So like, I've got to accept the little bit of force majeure that might come my way. I might pull a J-League card or something terrible like that. But I am hopeful that I'll get something that can help one of my in-season strategies start off with a bang. And although this arena mode is quite tempting, because if he did strike it lucky and get into one of the 50 golden limited arenas or into one of the 20 golden rare arenas, it could really change the picture. I'm thinking I'll probably get to the tier 2-ish level, but by winning one of these, that would wildly change it all of a sudden. Would it slow me down too much by losing 10 rare essence? Maybe it wouldn't. But I think this as a game mode would be something that could be quite exciting early into the new season. You know, if you only do have a little bit of essence, you fancy your game week, you maybe roll the dice on trying to multiply that. But for me right now, personally, I want to hang on to my essence. And as I look at this at the moment, there's only actually 23 players registered for the rare competition and 325 at limited. Now, there's 2 days to go to the deadline at point of recording. I'm sure those numbers are going to go up quite significantly. But this is a detail to actually watch out for, because it is only open for 2 weeks. And if the entry level is super low, there may be a wee zig and a zag opportunity here. But in general, I'm not looking to part with any of my essence. I'm looking to try and keep it all, as well as evaluating the market to try and snipe a little opportunity for a guy to come in at a cut fee that, you know, look at this. CR7 Classic, 8 quid. Yaimar Classic, I've seen him somewhere yet, 9 quid. Rusnak for a fiver. I love buying classic guys that cheap, I really do. And for the in-season ones that come off boil or maybe have limited in-season potential left, getting some of those guys in on a budget. And we've spoken about that kind of dynamic in a couple of videos recently. I'll link them at the end of this one in case you've missed it. But sincerely, at 404 rares, to cover the 3 regions that I mainly cover, Champion, Contender, MLS, and then having a bit of exposure into under 23, I've never had as many cards as I currently have at the moment. And every passing week and every time my gallery grows a little bit, I just fall in love more and more with the gallery, with the collection that I've got assembling here, which means I'm not going to be doing too much outgoings. I'm not going to be trading or selling too many guys out. And if you're not going to be selling or trading many guys out, the main focus is how do you then bring guys in? And that kind of brings me back to the main things I've mentioned in the video already. Market credits, in essence, I want to be squirreling them away ahead of August, September, whenever it is we get early access cards for the new European season. And I find it really easy to just keep in with some of these guys and to keep some of these collections moving because they are my guys. They are the types of players I like. Some of them are rewards, some of them are wonder kids, some of them are random guys that are kind of shit, but I kind of like them. And I'm really trying to stress this over content recently, but sincerely, if you're a Sorare player, you're going to play Sorare for a fair length of time. I'm ending my 5th year, my 6th season as a Sorare manager this current European season, as it were. And maybe some of you guys won't play for 6 years, maybe you'll play for 2 or 3, maybe some of you will play for as long as I have and maybe even longer. Well, let's see when we get into 10 years on Sorare, that will be crazy when it happens, won't it? And if that is the case, you're not going to be able to sell and turn and burn and flip and trade every card you own. There is going to be some guys that you just need to get married to and just say, you're staying here, the price is irrelevant or utility will vary, and you move on and focus on the other cards that maybe become really good market opportunities to sell or become really good market opportunities to buy. Or is there trades you can do from limited to rare, from classic to in-season to classic? There's so many kind of moving parts going on right now that there is a wee bit of an apathy across the market and across the SO5 arena at the moment. And there's maybe some external reasons for that at the moment, some other games rising to prominence and new toy syndrome kind of sweeping the internet, as it were. But make no mistake about it, there is a healthy dose of seasonality that is getting played into all this. And when we get ramped up again for the new season, with all the innovations and developments and progress that this game has made this year, but it is very unrecognisable to versions of the game that have gone before it. The 25-26 season for me on Sorare is going to clearly be the biggest and best yet, and I think there's been a lot of teething problems and a lot of potholes, speed bumps in the road of how they've had to innovate and develop the game over the last couple of seasons. But for the first time in so many years, like, it feels like there's a clear direction of where it's going. It's the same direction it's been on for the last 12 months. That's not really changing. And for once we go into a summer where we're not expecting massive upheaval and the total landscape changing on us. So in a lot of ways, despite the kind of apathy or a little bit of the lack of vigor that's in the Sorare community or whatever right now, it's probably been the best opportunity to firm up your strategy, to round out the edges of your gallery, fill those gaps in. And really, with all the different strings in the bow that are here now, with the daily challenges for the XP stuff, the common game mode, which we've spoke about already on the channel. If you've missed that content, feel free to check it out. The game week missions as well, which I kind of like, but they've got kind of shit recently, where this one is super classical fever. Have a River or Boca player concede a penalty. And fair enough, because some of these were getting gamed a little bit, weren't they? But have a defender in any of your lineups make an assist in the UCL semi-finals. They've made some of them a bit tougher now, which fair enough, whatever. And we'll see how Hot Streaks develops into the European season. And I'm still looking to get in on the Hot Streak action myself for the MLS stuff, which is why that Lucho felt like a great buy, a great signing for me, despite the in-season prices are coming down and blah de blah, all the other negative stuff. I was like, no, this guy's actually going to make a real difference to me. And on top of all the other stuff I've been building, the in-season MLS stuff that's already in the gallery, some of those classic cards I've been building in, when you see those opportunities of tier 1 star level guys in season or as a classic version you can slide into your strategy for next year, that comes into affordability, that comes into range for you, I don't think I'm ever going to be slow and pulling the trigger on those guys, because I know when it comes to that game week, those are the guys that can really make the difference and can make I was so close but team into I did it team, you know. And for you guys, that's not something to overlook, underestimate, undervalue, because there's a series of opportunities out there available right now, depending on where you're at and where you want to go with your Sorare club over the next couple of months. On screen now is some of that other content that I've made that I mentioned before that YouTube thinks you might enjoy, and I think you might enjoy it as well. If you haven't done so already, please do hit like and subscribe for more content like this as well. Get into the comment section and let me know your thoughts and feelings on wrapping up this season and getting ready for the season ahead. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one.